apologize now for my dog running around all crazy in the background of the video and probably chewing on things loudly and making a lot of noise. So, anyway, I've recorded this video twice, so let's go through this again. I went to employee preview of Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando last night. Super fun. It's actually, they just found out they're the #1 Halloween event, not just in the country, but in the world, I think 5 years running. Pretty cool. But I've read a lot online. Excuse me. I've read a lot online, Facebook, other websites, forums, about some of the disappointments and issues people had with last night, and I just would like to say that employee preview night, you're there as like a test subject. Honestly, you're a body in a seat at dress rehearsal because they want to see how it's gonna go. I don't think you should be surprised by fire drills, line dumps, people not being in the right place, houses not being open right when the event starts, stuff like that. I mean, it's their dress rehearsal. They need to do safety procedures. They need to figure out the logistics of everything. This is the first time they're doing this with humans walking around in the park. And if issues arise, and now they have time to fix it before the event opens tomorrow. So, I don't think anyone should be that surprised by issues. The scare zones, I think, were confusing to a lot of people this year if they didn't do their research. The idea was that there were no set scare zones. Really, there were 6 main zones. The characters could leave those zones and follow you. They also move from zone to zone throughout the night. But there were main areas where you could expect to see characters. You just don't know which characters you're going to see. And you might catch them as they're just coming into the area or just leaving the area. So you might not get the experience you think you're going to get. But I think after the first hour yesterday, they finally figured out the best procedure to move from area to area, and it got a lot smoother after that. I saw all of the groups. I went to all of the areas. I saw some of the groups more than once in different areas. I think it's a cool concept. It's a lot of fun. I think my favorites were probably the Prisoners, which is the all-female chainsaw gang. Super cool. And I think the Traditionals were my other favorite. If you like BioShock, you'll like the Traditionals. That's all I'm gonna say. So with that, let's talk about the houses. We'll just talk about them in the order that I did them. I did get to do all of the houses, so I can give you my opinion on all of them. First we did Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper, I don't know very much about. I know a little bit about him. I know some of his music. I'm sorry that my dog is sprinkling loudly now. Anyway, Alice Cooper. There were some really cool effects in the house. There's, when I talk about effects in the different houses, I'm not going to tell you how they do them. I'm not going to go into super detail. I'm just going to say, this was a cool effect, and let you see it for yourself when you go there. If you're not going to be able to go and you'd like to ask me more about a certain effect that I talk about, comment down below, send me an email, whatever you want to do. My favorite effect in the Alice Cooper house, there's an effect with padded cell walls that's really cool, so look for that if you're going. Also the mask work in the Alice Cooper house, fantastic. Not my favorite house, but definitely not my least favorite house either. There are definitely some cool effects, and the music's really good. Hi. After that, we did Universal's House of Horrors. I was with some people in my group that were really excited for that house, who are horror aficionados, old school horror. They really love it. I think it didn't quite live up to what people thought it was going to be. If you don't know, they brought back the effect that they did in Dead Exposure a few years ago, which is where bright strobe flashes, instead of it being a camera like it was in Dead Exposure, it's lightning, are supposed to reveal the monsters to you. But it wasn't. I went into it personally expecting it to be blackety black, you can't see anything, flash of light, oh my god, Frankenstein's in your face. Frankenstein's monster is in your face. But I think it's probably also impossible to do a haunted house in pitch black because, there's probably a lot of tripping and falling. That house, unfortunately, was probably in my bottom 2. After that, we did Penn and Teller, which was a house that I was so excited for, and it mostly lived up to my expectations. Really fun house. It's this year's black comedy house. Some funny stuff, some cool effects. There's one room that when they get it working properly, I think there were some technical difficulties with it last night, but if they get it working how I think it's supposed to work, it'll be a really, really cool effect. It's the room with all the lights. That's all I'm gonna say. Penn and Teller is also this year's 3D house. These glasses, these are the... You want to wear them? He's afraid of everything. These are the glasses that they gave us. They do have the effect of making blues recede and red come towards you. They also, when you put them on in a normal environment, they give everything that red and blue edge effect that's really cool. Right now my camera looks super 3D like it's here. Probably my number 3 house this year. After Penn and Teller, we did Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. I don't want to go into a whole thing about the show because I'm not a huge expert on Bill and Ted. This is only my second year seeing the show. Suffice to say, there were fun jokes, some good bits. I enjoyed it. Lots of music, lots of pyro, lots of dancing. Yeah, people seemed to enjoy it, so I'd say it was on the same level as last year, a little bit better than last year. I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask. After Bill and Ted, we did Walking Dead. I'm not a huge Walking Dead fan. I've never read the books. I've never seen the show. I don't know that much about it. One of the guys that I was there with is a huge Walking Dead fan, and he seemed to really enjoy it. I know a lot of people were disappointed by the lack of characters from the books and show being in the house, but I can understand why that wasn't done. And there were a lot of nods to the characters and the show and the books in the house that I think people enjoyed. Something about, there's a car out front that I'll put the footage here. That people really liked. I guess it was important. I know the trailer, the RV is important. That had a cool effect going on with it. Definitely one of the scariest houses for me. I think a lot of the performers in the Walking Dead house might have been some of the more experienced Halloween Horror Nights performers. They knew how close to get to you, how loud to be, what kind of motions to make that were definitely a little bit more creepy. After Walking Dead, we did soundstage houses. So the next house we did was my second, hi. That's my dog. The next house we did was my second favorite house of the night, which was Dead End. Dead End, if you don't know, is the spooky old Hartford place at the end of the street. Except, nothing bad ever actually happened in the house, as far as we know. It's not real ghosts, they're not real murder victims, none of that. It's actually people, like the little kids would be like, oh, remember the old Hartford house? They murdered all those people? Like, they made up the stories, and those stories became realized in the house, so they're actually spirits that people made up, which is a cool twist. Really cool effects in that house, beautiful house. Awesome, love it. Which leads me to my favorite house of the night, which was our next house, Gothic. Flawless house, honestly, loved 100% of it. Perfect, every minute of it. Really cool costumes, amazing scenery, some really neat effects that mess with your height and where you think you are in the building. Just beautiful, everything was beautiful in that house. Fantastic, amazing. Please go to Gothic, please. It was gorgeous, and I want to walk through there really slowly and stare at every detail. So cool. And definitely a few of the performers got me in that house too. Even though sometimes you know it's gonna happen, they jump out at you and you still get scared. And I always feel kind of like an idiot because I was like looking at the character and I was like, oh look, a character, and then he was like, bah, and I was like, ah! Like, it shouldn't have scared me, but it did, and it was fun. And then the last house we did was actually my least favorite house of the night, I'm sorry. Silent Hill. The house was apparently very detailed and realistic to the Silent Hill franchise. There were a lot of details that people appreciated. The smell, the ash falling from the sky, that was all really cool. None of the characters seemed that scary to me. There were like these fleshy things with mouth head. I don't know. They weren't scary. They just looked weird. Again, if you have any questions, comment below. Send me an email. the.eisforemily@gmail.com. I apologize for my dog in the entire video. Hopefully I will find somewhere else in the house to film that the dog will not be frolicking around. We'll see. I'm still getting back into the hang of things. I think that's it. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have any ideas for future videos, and I will talk to you later. Bye.